The story of Chanukah is a very intriguing part of Jewish history. But what I would like to focus on, or to begin this historical episode, what really brings us into it is the following question. We refer to Chanukah as Galus Yavan. It's the time when the Greek Empire basically took control and was very influential in the world. And in Jewish history, as you go through Jewish history, there was Galus Mitzrayim when the Jews were exiled to Egypt. There was Galus Bavel after the first Korban of the Beis HaMikdash. The first Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. The Jews were exiled to Babylon. There's Galus Yavan. What is Galus? Galus is exile. But when we look at the time of Yavan, of when the Greek Empire was in power and influencing the world, and the way the Jews relate to that, we call it Galus Yavan, the exile of the Greeks. What's intriguing and actually perplexing a little bit is that we were not exiled from our land. The Jews remained in Eretz Yisrael. The Greeks came here, and to this day, there's remnants of the Greek influence here. The artifacts you can find there, they're different, the stuff they left behind. Okay? And we call this Galus Yavan. What was the exile? So, one thing we have to understand is that their influence, first of all, is still active to this very day. Much of how the world runs in terms of the education, the arts, athletics, philosophy, the sciences, huge breakthroughs were brought about through the Greek culture, to which later generations, until today, we are simply just standing on the foundations that they laid. But what were they all about? And why do we call it an exile? Especially if we remained. They let us stay in our land. What were they all about? So the pasuk, in the verse in Breshis, in the Sefer of Genesis, the book of Genesis, says that the Greeks were a descendant of Japheth. And he was blessed by Noach. Vayaft Elokim liYapheth. Yaft Elokim liYapheth. Beauty will be given to him. And what is beauty? Beauty is something that's just external. And that was what their culture emphasized. We see the Greek statues, right? Of these literally chiseled, right? Men. And they're warriors with their muscles and everything. This was the Greek culture focusing on external beauty, which was in very strong contrast to the Jewish culture, the Torah culture. The Torah way of looking at things was what's bifnim, what's inside. And what they wanted to do, ultimately, with their culture, was to create a disconnect between the Jewish people and the inside of the Torah. And what was that? Lahaviram mechukei Torah sacha. To get us off of the Torah, the mitzvahs. To detach or disconnect us from our source of ruchnius. And what is that? In essence, it is detaching us from the Shekhinah. That is why I believe we call this time period when the Greeks were in power as Galus Yavan. Because what is Galus really? Essentially, in its essence, it is being distanced from the Shekhinah. Distance from the presence of Hashem. Distance from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's what they were out to do. To get us, somebody made a very nice point today in Yeshiva, we had a guest speaker, who said they didn't want us to stop learning. They said, you can learn, fine. They wanted us to forget our learning. In other words, the way he put it, is they wanted us to make our Torah learning just like any other subject. Like a subject in school. Okay? I can speak for myself. Many of the subjects which I learned in university and paid good money for, I remember very, very little of them. It was a subject. It was not my life. But that is what Torah is. Torah is life. And the Greeks wanted us to forget that. How do you do that? You minimize it. You contain it. You make it into a subject. That's how it was put today. But how can we really hammer this home for us in our lives? So somebody here, actually, in this very shul, last week made, to me, a very interesting comment as I walked in the door. So they're doing renovations downstairs. And he said it really puts him off when he sees how people get all excited about renovations. Shiputzim, as we call them here in Israel. Right? And people say, wow, look at how beautiful, beautiful building, beautiful house. Okay? But what about when somebody does internal renovations? Nobody seems to get excited about that. When somebody is mishtaper in his ways, somebody improves their being, where's the excitement about that? And that, I think, could be our reaction of not getting excited about that. Could be another place, another makom where we see that the Greek mentality, outlook, has taken over. Because there's something within, we don't even notice it. We don't recognize it. Only if it's, with bulldozers and cranes. Oh, wow, look what they're doing to that building. What do they call it, Tama 38? Wow. What about the Tama 38 going on inside? What if that crane in your heart that's reconstructing, the path in Torah? This Chanukah, give us all a bracha that when we're lighting that candle, those little tiny candles, right? Something so little, we should be thinking about the candles in our heart, how much darkness those candles can push away. Wish everybody a wonderful Chanukah. Thank you very much.
Amen.